Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. We have a group of senators that are coming to the verbal aid of veterans who are currently facing and potentially will be facing some serious life-changing situations. I want to jump into this, share it with you. I recently covered the problem a couple days ago, and it looks like it's getting some traction and some awareness. So currently the VA has a 4 or 5 month fix, but that's not going to be fast enough. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. If you want to support the channel, please consider being a member. That does help out the channel a lot, and it helps me to find you in the comments. All right, so jumping back into it, the headline here is Senators to VA. So the senators speaking to the VA, stop needless foreclosures on thousands of veterans. Again, right now you have about 6,000 veterans who are, well, we don't really know if they're veterans, right? There's 6,000 VA home loans in foreclosure in that process, whether it's the beginning or the tail end. And we have about 34,000 VA home loans that are delinquent and the number's probably growing. So the reason why I say that they might not all be veterans is because in some cases it could be a surviving spouse that's in the home. The veteran had passed away, or the home could have been sold as a assumption, and it could be a non-veteran in the home that has a VA home loan on it, right? So anyway, I want to jump into this because this is a serious topic. And, look, here's the deal. Even if this is not something that's happening to you and you feel as though this will never happen to you, that's good. But the more that you watch this video, the more that YouTube will then push it out to others that are in need. So our brothers and sisters that are searching frantically for information, there could be some nuggets in this article. So the more you watch it, the more that it goes out. That's all I'm saying. So bigger reach, right? All right, so let's jump into it here. A group of senators is asking the Department of Veterans Affairs to put an immediate, that's strong. A group of U.S. senators is asking the Department of Veterans Affairs to put an immediate stop to foreclosures on the homes of veterans and service members. The senators cited an investigation by NPR that found thousands of veterans who took what's called a COVID forbearance. COVID forbearance, okay? So VA home loan, COVID forbearance. I'm saying those words so that way as people are searching this type of stuff, hopefully they will see that there is some traction, and they should probably reach out to their senators as well and get more people on board, your congressional members, whether it's House or Senate, in my opinion. A program that allowed them to defer paying their mortgages and keep their homes during the pandemic are now at risk of losing their homes through no fault of their own. Without this pause, thousands of veterans and service members could needlessly lose their homes. Senator Brown, Tester, Reed, Kane, all Democrats wrote in a letter to the VA secretary. This was never the intent of Congress. So, in other words, the COVID forbearance that was approved through Congress, is what I'm ascertaining from this, was never the intent of Congress to allow for these types of foreclosures. So something wasn't thought through, obviously. Something didn't spell out the whole thing. Some sort of a knee-jerk reaction, in my opinion, for this COVID forbearance with the immediate situation being taken care of, but the aftermath portion may have lacked some clarity. So now you got to fix it quickly. And sad for those that have already lost their home. So remember that, look, I really try not to be either way politically, and sometimes the things that I read lean one way or the other. So take all that with a grain of salt. The fact that this is all Democrats, well, the Senate's controlled Democrat anyway. So the things we hear from the Senate will often be on the Democrat side. The things we hear from the House are often going to be on the Republican side. It is what it is. So let's move forward. All I care about is don't F over veterans, right? And if you do, I'm going to call you out. I don't care who you are. And we'll go from there. All right. So anyway, that was enough of that. You can hear my rooster in the background, by the way. I named him Stan. So you hear Stan. Stan the man, right? Or sometimes he's just on a kick. At least he's further away. All right. The forbearance program was set up by Congress after the pandemic hit in order to let people who suffered a loss of income skip mortgage payments for 6 to 12 months and then have an affordable way to start paying their mortgage again. Ideally, you would take whatever months were skipped, do a modification, and add that to the end of the loan, in my opinion. Let's move on. But in October of 2022, the VA ended the part of the program that allowed homeowners an affordable way to get current on their loans again, which has left many veterans facing foreclosure. And oh, by the way, it's a long process. The VA has a new program to replace it, but says it will take 4 to 5 months to implement, which is exactly what I put out in my video a couple days ago. That's too late to help many of the 6,000 people with VA loans who had COVID forbearances and are currently in the foreclosure process. 34,000 more are delinquent according to data from ICE Mortgage Technologies. In the meantime, tens of thousands of veterans and service members are left with no viable option to get on track with payments to save their homes, the senators wrote. The group of senators includes Tester, who chairs the Veterans Affairs Committee, which many of you are aware of because of the massive amount of information that I'm trying to push out for everybody, and Brown, who chairs the Banking Committee. Very nice. That's good. They ask the VA to implement an immediate pause on all VA loan foreclosures where borrowers are likely to be eligible for VA's new program until it's available and borrowers can be evaluated to see if they qualify. Huge. The heart of the problem is that many homeowners were told before they entered into a mortgage forbearance that the missed payments would be moved to the back end of their loan term, because this is how many lenders operate. By the way, I added that many lenders operate piece. So they wouldn't get stuck owing them in a big lump sum. They were told they'd be able to simply return to making their regular monthly mortgage payments when they got back on their feet financially. Homeowners with loans backed by FHA, which is kind of the civilian equivalent to a VA loan, okay? or the government-sponsored enterprises, Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, which are all your conventional type loans, all still have ways to do that. So, again, lenders, mortgage servicers primarily deal with conventional loans and FHA loans. Those are kind of that's the bag. Then they'll go to non-conventional, which is not a VA loan, and they'll do all these other things. But primarily they're dealing with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and FHA. And because of that, they understand like the back of their hand the things that can happen. And so when somebody who's on a VA loan, it's just, oh yeah, that's what we do. We would move that to the back of the loan. There'd be no problem. I get it. Cool. Well, misinformation, right? So sadly, so let's move on. So, but not homeowners with VA loans, right, can get that. The VA ended its program that enabled them to resume paying their original mortgage again. Then what good was it to be in a forbearance? It's so horrible, right? There's zero good about taking a COVID forbearance on a VA loan. Bad. Because what's happening effectively is, okay, we're going to let you skip 6 months. Then when you get your job back, I hope you saved up all those 6 months because now you owe us that. I can't make my payments today because I lost my job or whatever the case is. I need 6 months, get my new job in place, get things rolling again, and then I'll start making payments. Oh, but you owe us those past 6 months. How could I save it up? I didn't have a job. It's absolutely ridiculous. So with interest rates dramatically higher, and this is only important because some people in this situation would refinance their home, pull out cash if they needed to take care of other things, but refinance the home to basically, in effect, bring it current and start over. But But now that's not an option unless you want a $1,000 higher payment. So with interest rates dramatically higher now compared to during the pandemic, both consumer and industry groups say these homeowners have no affordable path to get back on track. The only thing at this point, in my mind, is you would have to see about taking out a home equity line or loan to pay the months that you skipped, and then make the payments to your home equity line or second mortgage loan. So many are being told they either need to pay tens of thousands of dollars to catch up or refinance into a loan at today's high interest rates, not an option, neither of which they can afford. So they are being forced to either sell their house or lose it to foreclosure. The VA did not have an immediate response to the letter from the lawmakers, but John Bell, the head of the VA's loan program, previously told NPR that the VA is exploring all options at this point. We owe it to our veterans to make sure that we're giving them every opportunity to be able to stay in their home, Bell said. The senators in their letter commended the VA on its efforts to come up with a new program. We appreciate the significant work the VA has undertaken and the dedication of the VA staff, they wrote in the letter. But until that program is up and running, they want the VA to stop with the foreclosures. With each additional day that passes, risks mount for borrowers who are facing foreclosure while they wait for a solution from the VA. Meanwhile, NPR has heard from veterans around the country who feel misled, embarrassed, angry, or scared to be facing bankruptcy or foreclosure for the first time in their lives. Halting the foreclosures sounds like a good idea to Army veteran Ray Queen, who was the subject, by the way, of the initial video that I had completed on this. And he is over in Oklahoma, who was wounded in Iraq. Let us keep paying toward our regular mortgage between now and then, he previously told NPR. Then, once the VA has that fixed, we can come back and address the situation. That seems like the adult, mature thing to do, not putting families through hell. And that concludes this story. Hopefully we're going to get some reprieve here. We do have a handful of senators that are calling on the VA to stop the needless foreclosures. The question is now, will the VA do that? Will they stop, put a stay on their allowance of mortgage foreclosures and allow time for some breathing room? That's the question. So at this point, I think what needs to happen, right, like everything else, more pressure needs to be put on our elected officials, right? So on the House and the Senate side, letting them know, and you can give them this information, right? So that way they're aware, and let them know that there's already a handful of senators that are calling on the VA to do this. I will tell you that when it comes to anything political, right, there's little fires that burn here and there. There is not a single senator or congressional member out there, or their office for that matter, that knows every single thing going on and being requested from the constituency. There's not. It's up to us to raise it high enough up, to bubble it up to where it gets noticed. So if we don't make phone calls and we don't send emails and we sit on our hands, the likelihood is much less of anything happening. That's all I'm saying. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.